I was born a twin in 1952 in Hunmünden, Germany, by a Swedish mother and a French father who was a top scientist of entomology in the world. He was a great photographer, and I grew up in his darkroom. Back then, the motto was for women to be seen, not heard. I was very dyslexic early on, and that was fine with me, as I was afraid to speak, so I gravitated towards the visual arts. I came to America my first time when I was 5 years old in a big ship in Ellis Island. Moving back to Germany at age 10, I could not understand or speak either language very well, so I would still express myself through painting or taking photos. High school, of course, was not working for me. One day, Principal Gross approached me wanting to swap a date for a high school diploma. Well, I insisted on getting the diploma first, then turned him in and threw the diploma in the trash with no date from Mr. Gross. Now I was 16 and had to earn some money. My goal was to buy a house on my own, which I later did in Galita. Back then, women were not well respected, but if you had some looks, you could get into jobs easier. I was hired by PSA Airlines, but found out shortly after that National Airlines out of Florida wanted German-speaking stewardesses. So I started flying for national and international airlines. The schooling was 6 weeks. About 48 women were in my class, but only 20 women passed the course, and I was very happily one of them. After that experience, I was asked by a scout for Playboy in San Francisco to go for an interview for their Playboy club. I had no idea then they only hire one Playboy bunny out of 20,000 applicants. It was a fun job, all run by women, with no partying, no drinking, to bed early, so you look healthy and radiant the next day. I was a VIP bunny to sing and dance on stage and bring presents to high-end executives with my own bodyguards and limousines. After that, a scout from Ford Modeling Agency in Dallas wanted me to go out for a modeling career, so I did. I love photography and fashion, and it was a great learning experience watching the photo shoots, which I would later emulate in my photography career as well. I would practice photography by giving all my friends and their friends glamorous photo shoots, which turned into glamour photography in shopping malls all over America. Women back then asked me to photograph them in a sexy way to keep their husbands interested in them. I did this, but told them the photos are really not for him, they are for you. If you can do this photo shoot, you have the strength and beauty to have the confidence to do anything you want. It was obvious to me, if you have to go this far to please him in your marriage, it's pretty much over. And eventually, it happened to me as well. I've been married altogether 45 years to 3 different men. My first husband, who taught me English, of 17 years, a Delta airline pilot, he always would tell me that he would turn my son against me if I divorced him. I did not think this was possible, as my son and I were really close. But he did, and I have never seen my son since. This was the same man who used to say, "You cannot be a photographer. You're stupid. You couldn't even get a job at McDonald's," Why don't you sell cigarettes in Vegas? And you have big boobs, you can get that job. He loved Rush Limbaugh, who I didn't really understand then who he was. And after years of mental and physical abuse, I left. At about the same time, my twin sister was murdered by his brother at 25 years young. I was devastated, and I helped raise her son, a wonderful man who is a retired detective today. Well, I pursued photography anyway, and it also was my creative outlet. I loved every bit of it. I would dream of an image I had to create for the next project and would create it the next day with a lot of success. I had a big studio downtown Santa Barbara by the beach with an art gallery for artists. I created images that were sold by Z Gallery, shown in New York Center of Fine Arts and the Chelsea Museum. I was on my own doing well and unfortunately fell into another marriage with blinders on, an artist full of wild ideas and traveling adventures, and because of his deceiving nature, after 5 years, found myself and him on a TV show called America's Most Wanted. Well, after that learning curve, I lived alone for 10 years, happily creating images. I reconnected with a friend, my current mate, Mark, married now for 20 years, who also was a photographer and today a great realtor here in Santa Barbara. A much calmer and healthier lifestyle where I successfully run my photography business and enjoy my 2 beautiful godsons and 1 stepdaughter and great friends and my fur baby Hank, and of course my relationship with Mark. Life is always a learning experience. I came to America on a big ship as an immigrant, and in my late 60s, I had the courage, with a lot of studying, to become an American citizen. This year, on my birthday, I'm going on a big ship again to Alaska with family and friends to celebrate my 70th birthday. Thank you for listening.